Tune those fiddles, floss that tooth, and uncork that moonshine. The Lovecraft Country Time Jamboree is back. Every week I'll be taking a look at each episode from the biggest horror series of 2020 as it drops. There'll be spoilers from here on out, but I'll try to keep them on the minimal. So there you go. You've been warned. Let's get to it.
Young Sagat.
Welcome back to ML Miller Frights, a part of the Kings of Horror Network. I'm ML Miller. Before we begin, remember to give this video a like, share with your buddies across the electronic superhighway, click subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to ring that bell for notifications. Please get the word out to new folks so we can make this channel bigger and better. I see a lot of people giving this series a pass because it's focusing on people who don't look like them. I think those people are really doing this series a disservice for at least not checking out Lovecraft Country to see if it's for them or not. While I have my issues with Lovecraft Country, I am committed to watching the whole thing and reporting back to you, the viewer, on each episode. I also think a lot of critics are turning a blind eye to honest looks at this series because of who made it, and that it's important to tell stories featuring African American people. Again, I think this is a disservice. Just because the message is right doesn't automatically mean it's good or above criticism. Case in point, A History of Violence, which is the 4th episode of Lovecraft Country, where we get another road trip adventure, and finally it feels like this series is getting into the actual story without rushing past potential interesting moments. At least for a while. While the first 2 episodes seemed rushed, I really liked the last episode, which featured Letty, played by Journey Smollett. It advanced the plot a bit while giving us some key character moments. It wasn't perfect, but it was a step in the right direction. Episode 4 puts Atticus, played by Jonathan Majors, Letty, and Montrose, Michael K. Williams, on the road again in search of the missing pages of the Book of Names that Christine, played by Abby Lee, mentioned at gunpoint last episode. They need to take a car trip from Chicago to Boston, and in order to do that, they need to have a car. Unfortunately, Hippolyta, played by Anjanou Ellis, and her daughter Diana, played by Jada Harris, won't let our heroic trio go without them tagging along to go to the Museum of Science in Boston. Meanwhile, back in Chicago, we also get some development with Letty's sister, Ruby, played by Wunmi Mokasu, as she longs to be hired to work at Marshall Fields, and meets up with William, Jordan Patrick Smith, in a bar where he offers to make her dreams come true. There are also some interesting scenes of Christine playing with some kids in the street, and revealing that she's never played hide-and-seek before, suggesting that she never really had a childhood. Christine also meets with the head of police who chastises her that she will never become part of the order because she is a woman. The bulk of the episode, though, has Atticus, Letty, and Montrose figuring out secret passages in the museum and ways to get through various Indiana Jones-like challenges in order to get lost pages from the Book of Names for reasons. The episode ends with some very promising mysteries set to unfold in upcoming episodes. Episode 4, A History of Violence, was a goofy-ass episode. Plain and simple. That doesn't mean it was a bad episode. It just felt like a bunch of oddball moments and mixed genres that really didn't mesh well. Directors Victoria Mahoney and David Petrarca seemed to want to pay homage to Spielberg's classics like Goonies and the Indiana Jones movies, but it never really reaches the heights of wonder that those films were able to achieve. So there's more of a national treasure level of adventure here, if you know what I mean, which pales in comparison to those Spielberg flicks by a long shot. Our main trio never really seemed to be in danger, and somehow know what to do every time in order to conquer the obstacle. Sure, that's an adventure trope, but never was there a time that I felt they were in actual danger. The acting, as usual, is pretty great. Majors, Smollett, and Williams are fun leads, and even though they're romping around in a cartoonish adventure, each get their moments to shine here. Still, seeing them go through these remedial attempts at adventure really stretched their acting limits. The scene on the bridge is comically bad, as everyone is acting at sitcom levels of goofiness. There are a few ongoing problems with the show that continue to annoy the hell out of me. It takes over 14 hours to get from Chicago to Boston. Yet the gang takes the old Woody there, and we don't get any problems at all. The first episode was all about how dangerous it is for black people to travel across the country, and yet they make it almost 1,000 miles without a hitch. It's these missed opportunities of story and plain simple logic that frustrate me with Lovecraft Country. The first full 15 minutes of this episode was dedicated to one person getting mad at another person and then stomping away, interspersed with the occasional rap song. A lot of that verbal and character interplay could have been done in transit to Boston, but instead the entire interstate jaunt takes place off-screen, another wasted story opportunity to rush to the big Indiana Jones adventure scenes. Now, some might argue that we're dealing with magic and the transport between Chicago and Boston might have been truncated because of that, but that's not what I'm talking about. What irks me is that there are missed moments constantly in this series that could have delivered real character, and misplaced scenes of people standing and talking when all of that could have happened on the road and been more dynamic and integrated into the story. While the rap song in the first episode threw me for a loop, I finally understood that the series is basically taking on a timeless quality, utilizing black music from all eras. I get it. It keeps things modern and boppy, instead of boring people with Victrola music the entire time. Still, the overuse of rap really took me out of this episode. With so much time and money spent on making the series look like it took place during the Jim Crow 50s and 60s, it's a shame how easily that illusion is shattered with a track by Beyoncé. Using rap feels like a lowest common denominator cheat to snag the attention of younger viewers who might be bored with the music of the era. It's too bad the producers didn't have enough faith in their viewership to make it look and sound like the era that it was made in. For those who might say I just don't like rap music, I think the Marilyn Manson songs were annoying as hell too. But in episode 4, all of the music, including the overpowering orchestral score, was way over the top and distracted from what could have been much more effective scenes with subtler musical choices. Criticisms aside, this episode wasn't without its interesting moments. In fact, I'm much more interested in Ruby's subplot about fitting into white society and the lengths she will go to get that acceptance than I am with the main 3 characters of this story. This looks to be the central plot of the next episode, and I'm looking forward to that theme being delved into, which is much deeper and more interesting than the obligatory all whites are bad drumbeat. I also really love Hippolyta and Diana, and feel they have been greatly underutilized so far in this series. Their short moments in this episode were a lot of fun, and there's a liveliness to their mother and daughter relationship that feels natural and engaging. I'm also hoping Abby Lee's Christina is going to get a little more depth, and hopefully she won't turn out to be just another bad white person. This episode, and a few moments from prior episodes of her plight of being a woman in an order led by men, is another interesting one. The final moment also gives episode 4 some gravitas and intrigue that bode for some dark times ahead. That'll be it for today. If you like this video, please pound that thumbs up button. Share the video with your social media addicted pals. If you're looking for written reviews, you can find them on mlmillerwrites.com. Don't forget about the new trade paperback for my horror comic book series, GRAVETRANCERS. It's out in all of the finer comic shops now. And be sure to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell for alerts to be the first to see my future videos. Thanks so much for your time, and take care.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside your reality. You're doomed. Oh, you're doomed. You're doomed. You're doomed. Live the life that you are meant to be. alongside.